Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to kind of a heartfelt live stream. Uh, Before we get too terribly far in, I'm going to kind of wait for everyone to make their way in, and we'll begin talking about it and everything. We'll talk about today's topic. But in the meantime, we're just going to kind of wait. Hey, what's going on, Chairman? Welcome to the live stream. We're just going to kind of wait for everyone to kind of make their way in and that sort of thing. You know. Hi, Danny. What's happening, Raven? Good to see everybody making their way in. Goodness gracious, I better get everything all set up.
Won't let me comment at all.
Really? Not yet.
Nope.
Weird. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're supposed to be here, though.
Still won't let me comment. It says I'm a standard moderator.
Weird. Playing Fortnite. Yeah, I do.
Yes,
Yeah, I do.
You do.
Sorry, brother. It's been crazy busy over here with the passing of a grandparent. I'm doing good. Doing good. Good to see everybody.
Hi, bestie.
Okay. Right behind me is my other half. You all know her as Country Girl, but the name's about to change a little bit. And she wanted to be here part of this live stream. So figured, since everybody's making their way in, number one, don't forget to hit the like button. And number two, kind of a heads up. If you're, I'll leave them for where, yeah. Well, my last living grandparent just passed away. My last living grandparent just passed away. Um,
Hi, Raven.
Good to see you, Raven.
It won't let me comment, so I'm just saying hi to everybody.
That's fine.
Is it because I'm part
I'm
of this?
thinking, I don't know. Yeah, my last living grandparent.
Country mama.
No, I'll have to go in and tinker with the moderation stuff.
Okay.
Alrighty, so let's get underway here. Saturday we buried my last living grandparent. Gone, you know. Oh wow. So you got a gal from Montana. Well, before you guys, I understand it's normal, sorry for the loss and everything, but I want y'all to take this in for a moment. Yeah, it stings like hell. I'm not gonna lie. That's awesome, man. Uh, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, it stings. Yeah, it kind of hurts a little bit. The grandpa's gone, but let me kind of break it down for you. Grandpa lived to almost 90 years old. He was a few months away from turning 90, okay? In that time, he raised 6 kids, and all but one went out and started a family of their own. So then we're talking grandkids. Then from the grandkids, all of us went out. Yeah, I know you did. From those grandkids, we all went out and started our own families. Yeah, he did. Oh, he watched all of his grandkids grow up and go out and start their own families. Now those great grandkids, some of them are starting their own families now. One of my cousins, he's a grandpa now. So my grandpa, yeah, I got a big family. So my grandpa got to watch all of his grandkids grow up, start their own families, and he was around just long enough to see great great grandchildren. Okay, he was around long enough to just begin seeing great great grandchildren. I think that if Grandpa was here right now, he'd say, "I seen everything I needed to see at this point. I seen everything." So, kind of take that in a second. I mean, so really, what we're kind of doing here is not so much mourning the loss; we're remembering what they left behind. Okay, so kind of take that in for a second. You know, this is more. Yes, yeah, it stings. Yeah, I already miss them, but at the same time, it's kind of that. Yeah, they're gone, but they're not gone, if you will. Okay, because of the stories we have. Um, going back to my first grandpa that I lost all the way back in on September 11th, 2000, 1 year before the World Trade Center. Um, that grandpa served in the Second World War, and he got to see some cool stuff. As a matter of fact, I remember actually him telling me one particular story where he had actually taken some guys that were in this concentration camp from back to France. He brought them to this village where he was supposed to drop them off. He gets out of the truck, and when he gets out of the truck, um, he pulls out a pack of in his rations. He had a pack of he had a full pack of Camel non-filters. Yeah, Camel non-filters back then. Those I've had the type of Camel non-filter before, and back then, I mean, they were strong, like cigar strong. Oh wow, you get it, you get it. So when he pulled those out, he lit up a cigarette, and then one of the French guys kind of motioned that he would like a cigarette. So my grandpa just hands the pack up to the guy, to one of the guys in the back of the truck, and then they started handing out cigarettes and smoking. He didn't think anything of it. He was just being nice. Well, a little bit later in the day, there's this young French lady that comes up to Grandpa and kind of, would you come with me, sort of thing. He didn't speak French, but he followed the young lady, and he goes to this house and goes inside, didn't think anything of it. And there's this big table, and one of the guy at the head of the table, yeah, I knew that. He knew it. Yeah. So, yeah, I remember that. I remember that well. He sits down, he goes to sit down, at the table. And like I said, there was the guy at the head of the table was one of the guys he had brought back to that village in France. And the guy starts, points at him and said, and he basically enjoyed a really nice home cooked meal right there in one of the homes of one of the guys he brought back to the village. That's actually a story that my grandpa, who passed away in 2000, actually told me, left over from the war.
I remember you telling me that.
Hmm. And he told me he got to travel kind of after, because he was there for a while after the war was over in Europe. It's still going on in the Pacific, and he was very worried they were going to send him to the Pacific. He didn't want to go. He really wanted to come home because he'd already seen as much as he wanted to see. He'd actually told us there were several times on the trucks that he took back from the front lines. He was taking back troops that weren't they weren't coming home to their families. They were going to the cemetery, sort of thing. And he told me that numerous times how he had done that. Um, so those trucks were never really empty. He was taking supplies up to where the front lines were, or he was taking, I guess you could say, taking the wounded or the unalived home, if you will. Um, so he did that. My grandma Pole, who was 97 when she passed. Uh, she was the cool mom, yet the cool grandma at the same time. I'll tell you, she actually imparted a story when my dad was a teenager. They over in Manchester, Missouri. Uh, hey, what's going on, Zero?
Hey, hi Zero.
Uh, Grandma was telling me she pulls up to the stoplight and looks over at the vehicle next to her. It's my dad. Okay. She rolls down the window and yells out, "I'll race you home." Dad's like, "You're on, Mom." My grandma was driving a 1966 Pontiac Tempest. Okay. My dad was driving a 66 Mustang GT Coupe. The light turns green, the tires light, they take off racing. They get up by the Manchester police department. Grandma gets nervous and backs off. Dad just keeps going. Gets home, and my grandma gets out of the car. Dad looks at her and says, "What took you so long, Mom?" And she's like, "We were right by the police station." He's like, "So?" She said, "How would that have looked if your mother would have been pulled over by the police for racing her son home?"
That would have been an interesting story. The police officers would have loved it.
They would have died laughing. That was my grandma that passed away at 97. She told stories like that. Matter of fact, when I was still in, I was just before I went into kindergarten. That same grandmother had broke her hip for the first time on two separate occasions. She broke the same hip on two separate occasions, and both times I sat with her till the paramedics arrived.
Such a good grandson.
And I even tried to help take care of her when she was back home after her hip replacements. Tried to help take care of her while she healed.
Reminds me of how I took care of my grandmother.
Didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I sure as hell tried.
Same.
Yep. Right there, spending time with grandma. She always said that was some of her fondest moments. Was healing up from those hip surgeries. I was right there. Matter of fact, when I seen her last time, it was actually at a funeral. Uh, we were sitting there, and she was telling that she said, "I remember when you did this," and she brought that up. She said both times. She said all the pain I was in, and I couldn't move, couldn't get up, and you sat with me till the paramedics arrived and helped me. Yeah, that was good. I remember that well. And remember the same grandpa um, you know, who fought in World War II. He became a watchmaker. Oh, tell me about it. Some of the best memories with grandparents. I remember sitting there with my grandpa who fought in the war, uh, sitting on his lap, and he was a watchmaker. So here he is with that his glasses on and this little monocle that went over the glasses to magnify the small parts so he could see what he was doing. And he would be sitting there working with these little bitty parts. And just it was so neat. So neat. And he did that for I remember him doing that for years.
You know, your grandpa, the one that just recently passed, he actually worked with my grandpa
Yep.
at Chrysler.
Yeah. Our two grandpas worked together for Chrysler. Okay. You take us. Oh, Scotland. Wow. I hear Scotland is beautiful. I've some of the places over there in Europe I would love to come and see.
Ireland.
Mm.
Oh, I'd love to go see Ireland.
Had a pool. Oh, me too, Zero. I'm glad you were able to make it. Tell you, uh, we didn't know it till late until we got together. Country Girl and I, my grandpa that just passed, uh, at almost the age of 90. Our two grandpas worked together for Chrysler.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about the grandpa that just passed. You guys are gonna love this. That grandpa, when he was around 13, 14 years old, my great grandparents had passed. Now, really quick, the grandpa I'm talking about was actually uh, he's where I get my blend of Mexican in me. Okay, and the way that, along with some Aztec thrown in there, I didn't know it till years later that that he was also kind of descended from this one Aztec village. Uh, because believe it or not, there are Aztecs still left. There's not many in Mexico, but there's a few, and he's actually one of the descendants of. Kind of like Mexico's own version of um,
Did I know
of
that?
of a reservation. Yeah, you knew that.
I thought so.
Yeah, you knew that. Now, so that grandpa, um, he was actually born in Corpus Christi, Texas. My great grandparents owned a ranch somewhere in Mexico. Yeah, yeah, I'm kind of what we call here in the United States. They always tease and say, "Yeah, I'm kind of Heinz 57." On one side of my family, I come from an old German family. Yep, yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about. So, and on the other side, I've got a lot of different Native American tribes mixed in with with actual, with Mexican heritage. So that's not uncommon. You'll get like Native Americans that have been blended with Mexicans. That's very commonplace here in the States.
Yeah.
So on one side of my family, I've got a lot of Native American with Mexican thrown in for good measure. Which, if you know anything about Mexicans, they're descendants of Mayan, Aztec, and Spanish. That's just kind of how that works. We're kind of a blend there. So then, my great grandparents owned a ranch in Mexico, I think somewhere near Monterrey, and they during the off season of the ranch, they would travel to Texas, um, and they would work odd jobs and things like that until the it was ready to start doing your thing with the ranch again, and then they would cross back over. They got a worker's permit to work in the United States, and then they would go back over. What's going on, Gavin John?
Hey, hi, Gavin John.
Well, while my great grandmother was in Texas, with my great grandpa, and they were working the off season. What's going on, Grave Taker? Welcome to the live stream. So while my great grandparents were in Corpus Christi working odd jobs for the off season and everything, they my grandpa was born. Okay, so he actually, even though my great grandparents were from Mexico, uh, my grandpa was given a United States birth certificate because he was born here in the U.S. Well, they offered, because if you have a child inside the United States. They're a nationalized citizen. Okay. On the other hand, though, because of that, my great grandparents were offered citizenship here to the United States. They declined. They didn't want it. Okay. So they declined, but my grandpa was given automatic U.S. United States citizenship because he was born here. Well, at the age of right around 13 or 14, my great grandparents had passed away. They were gone. Okay. And one of my grandpa's sisters, one of my great aunts, she's trying to take care of him. Something's, I don't know all the details, but basically she told him, I can't take care of you anymore. And he was turned out into the world to fend for himself at the age of 14. He takes his birth certificate from the United States, crosses the border legally, which we'll get to that in a moment. Goes back into the United States, and he was basically sleeping in boxcars on trains. And as he's sleeping in boxcars on trains, oh, there it goes. Working now. Okay. As he's sleeping in boxcars on trains, he would make these little fires inside the boxcar, and then in the morning he would get up and go do work odd jobs, whatever, to make enough money for food, and that's how he lived for a while. Well, in that time frame, one day he's on a boxcar and he falls asleep, near a fire, and he didn't know it. He overslept, and the train was moving the next day when he woke up, and I remember him telling my brother, one of my brothers, one of my brothers was like, well, why didn't you get off the train? He said, I was curious where it was going. So he stayed on the train. So he did the hobo life. My grandpa did the hobo life for a little while, and he starts kind of traveling around. Well, finally, he ends up working this one farm for a while. It was a vineyard during his time, and eventually he ends up somewhere near Los Angeles, and eventually meets my grandmother. And of course, he works a few jobs till he finds out he's going to be a dad, and then he goes to work for Chrysler, and he worked for Chrysler. He even worked with Chrysler through the famed muscle car era. But before he started working with Chrysler, he actually he actually owned an old Chevy. He was actually a Chevy guy.
One thing I never thought to ask him was if he got to see the arch being built.
No, he never.
Was it done by the time he got here?
He didn't get here till like 76.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so he went to work for Chrysler, and he worked with Chrysler for over 40 years. I've got to get the picture, and as soon as I do, I'll post it everywhere. But there's a picture of my grandpa having a conversation with Lee Iacocca.
Ooh.
That one picture that we seen at the funeral of my grandpa, which you recognize, he had that big full beard.
Yeah.
And the guy he was standing next to that was pointing at one of the cars.
Oh, that's what you were talking about.
That's Lee Iacocca.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I gotcha.
He-
You kind of had lost me there for a minute, and then I was just like, wait, what?
Thank you. Yeah, there's a picture of my grandpa with Lee Iacocca. So yeah, Grandpa worked all through, and even seeing the cars in the 70s. Matter of fact, when I was real little, I actually remember my grandpa having one of those 70s like Dodge Valeros or something like that. It was a nice car. Wasn't the greatest car in the world, but it was nice. And he owned Dodges because he had that green, what everyone knows in the Chrysler company as the green sheet. And all the way up until his passing, if he wanted a brand new vehicle, he could actually buy a brand new Chrysler off of what they called the green sheet, and he basically got it at cost, to the company. Which, ironically enough, I up until his passing, I could have done that. Yes, Plymouth. It was at one time, and then the Dodge brothers, I think, bought it out, and they bought out. Oh yeah, the Plymouth Roadrunner. Yep, good looking car. Um, I've always been a fan of the Plymouth GTX, you know, which was like the upscaled Roadrunner. It was the performance package for the Roadrunner, if you know anything about that. Uh, but yeah, Grandpa, he worked all through that era. Owned several Dodge trucks over the years. I remember we would be going somewhere with my grandparents, be in the back of their old Dodge pickup that had this camper shell on it, and we'd all be lined up on what was the old beds then in that camper, listening to music with my uncle in the back with us, which that uncle was only about 4 years older than me. He was one of those change of life babies. So he was in his oh shoot, yeah, he was only 4 years older than me. Matter of fact, when I was 31, he passed away.
Do you want me to go pick up some more smokes?
Don't we have some in the car?
That's the last of it, right there.
If you want.
Okay, I'll go pick up more smokes.
Are you sure?
Uh,
Okay. I was gonna say, or you can just grab me one of my vapes if you're cool.
you want that instead?
Yeah, that's fine.
Which
I
one you
shouldn't be
want?
smoking anyways. Just my old Ryan that's from the desk.
Okay.
You're fine. Thank you, dear. Thank you, dear. But yeah, so if you find that interesting, um, the grandpa that just passed, my grandmother, she suffered years and years of mental illness, so she didn't get to do a whole lot other than raise a family together. Yeah, I know, but kind of every now and again, I still have a cigarette or two. Most of the time, I don't anymore. It's pretty rare. But that grandmother suffered a lot of mental illness, and it is what it is. Detroit or go to the plant in Fenton. Yeah, it did for a second. We're still alive.
Do you want me to go check? I went and plugged my phone in.
It's still going. It's still going here. I can tell you it is. Um, so Grandpa then kind of talked to my grandmother and was like, "Okay, we'll go ahead. Yep, we're back." Well, that when that plant closed, um, Dad, be fine.
You sure?
Damn sure.
Okay.
Okay, where was I? Oh yeah.
I
Uh,
want to see if they can hear you first.
y'all hear me? Okay. Hello.
Give us a shout out. Bestie, say popcorn if you can hear us.
How you doing, Mary? Yep, there it is. Okay. Grandpa was working at the Chrysler plant that was in California, I think near LA. And when that plant closed, they offered him a choice. Popcorn.
There we go. We know she heard.
They offered my grandpa a choice of going to taking severance pay or going to one of the other plants, one of the other factory plants. And the two to choose from were Detroit or to go to Fenton, Missouri, which is where the other one was. Grandpa went ahead and chose to go ahead and go to the Fenton plant, and he loaded up at that time 5 kids and took them cross country. And for a while, they lived in Pacific, Missouri. Now, here's some irony for you. Had that plant never closed and I would have been born, I would have actually lived very close to mystical Dorcas.
And we never would have met.
Hmm. I would have been just a stone's throw away from where. Speak of the devil. If we would have been a stone's throw from each other had it not been for that plant closing. So, in around 1976, my grandparents, I think 75, 76, they packed up all the kids, moved cross country to Missouri.
My grandpa remembers the day that they got here.
Yep. And I know there was a big to-do over that.
Yep.
Well, they were living in Pacific, Missouri, and because of being Native American and Mexican, they suffered a lot of racial backlash. You might find that interesting.
Is it still messing up?
Yep. About time for an update.
Hi, do you know that's leaking? Nope.
Well, hello there, Lori. Welcome to the live stream.
Hey, it's Lori.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Mystical. I never said hi.
You know who that is.
Oh, gee, thanks.
But yeah, that's from Utah. Okay. So that's how that grandpa got here to. None taken on that, and you're right.
Very.
As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, I remember hearing in Montana, there's still a law that if you see 3 or more Native Americans gathering, it's considered a war party.
Really?
Yeah.
In Montana? Weird.
And they're basically told to start shooting at them.
That's
unarmed,
wrong.
armed or not.
That is just wrong.
Yep.
That is just flat wrong.
But that's how horse and cattle rustlers, my God.
Right?
What the hell, Montana?
Agreed.
Oh, no. No. Here in Missouri, and if there's a law like this, some moron did it, okay? Here in Missouri, there's an actual law that says you cannot drive down the road with a live bear in the backseat of your car. A live bear.
Okay, well, I mean, come on. You got to think of this logically. If you have a live bear in your car, first of all, you're just flat stupid. Second of all, who on earth drives with a live bear in their car besides you? You would.
Get in the back, Yogi. Get in the back.
You would drive with a live bear in your car.
I would try it just
You
once.
would definitely try it.
Just to see if I got pulled over.
Just to say, yes, I did that. My brothers would do that too.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
Seriously? You can ask for a gun and a horse?
They have to give it to them. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Some of those old laws that are still in the books that make about it. What the hell, Zero? Where do you live at, Montana? He knows what I'm talking about. Some of the backwoods laws that we have here in the States. Well, over in England, I don't know if you guys know this, but used to be that the men had to learn archery in the public school system for a long time over in England.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It was part of the curriculum.
But Why?
because that was part of the military system for the longest time. They had to learn archery.
That makes sense. We learn archery over here just for fun.
Over there was still part of military curriculum for the longest time. I don't think that actually went away until the 90s,
Huh.
if I remember correctly about England.
We learn it here for fun. I mean, they have archery. They have archery tournaments. One of my cousins made state for an archery tournament. Just recently, actually.
Yeah, I've got friends of all sizes and shapes. But yeah, so they actually suffered racial backlash. Then they moved away from their place in Pacific and lived in a little town called Gerald, Missouri, for a little while. And they didn't like how the winters made it hard to get out. So then they moved to Union, Missouri, and that's where they were for the longest time. And I remember, the old house they used to live in. My uncle and I used to get into all sorts of goofiness. Oh my God. That is so funny. Just remember, kids, you screw up bad enough, that's where you're going to end. Yep. That's some old West sort of stuff.
Yeah, no kidding. Is Montana stuck in the Wild West days?
Well, kind of.
No offense, Zero.
There's a lot of Native American reservation up there. So they
Okay.
keep it that way.
Well, that's stupid.
Yeah, it is, but that's just kind of how whites like it here in the States.
Unfortunately, you're not wrong. And that's what makes it so sad.
Yep. Except that shit. I just spit water everywhere, Bestie.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is.
That's just one of those things. Now, for those who've not heard the story, you're going to love this. Those who have heard the story usually get a good laugh. The first thing to ban TikTok? Oh my God.
You're probably going to be the only state that does that.
It's, on one hand, TikTok is fun. Wow. On one hand, TikTok is fun, but on the other hand, its ties to China is not so good.
TikTok and Twitter are the only ones I won't use. I will not use TikTok or Twitter.
Yep. So it's a catch-22 there. I have a TikTok, but people keep subscribing, so I guess I'm going to have to start doing content over there again. God damn it.
1,000-foot pole.
Fair enough. I get it. I had Twitter for a while. There was a time on the channel I used to say, be sure to hang out with me on Facebook and be sure to follow me on Twitter. Since there's no such thing as Twitter face, we don't need to worry about it. I used to say that in videos. For those of us who remember when I used to say that.
Or Faster.
Or what?
Faster. Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah.
Combined. Faster.
But yep. So, like I said, my grandparents had some interesting stories. I got to see some really old pictures of my grandparents, and it was really neat.
I actually got to see your grandparents' wedding picture.
Mm-hmm.
Her dress was beautiful, by the way.
Yeah.
But they didn't smile.
Well, it was a different time. It was a Catholic wedding.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. You got to remember everything, that's kind of how they did it.
Yeah.
It
I
was
was told that Catholics weren't allowed to smile in pictures.
Yeah. For their weddings and stuff.
Yep. And graduation.
But you could tell they were still happy.
Yeah.
No, smile or no smile, you could tell. Yeah, vehicle assembly plant. Yeah. Uh, Ironically enough, the grandpa that served during the Second World War, he actually during time he took some time away from being a watchmaker. You might find this interesting. That grandpa was also worked for a Pontiac dealership too in the 70s.
Is that where you got your love for Pontiacs?
Kind of, yeah.
Really?
I'm actually more of an Oldsmobile kind of guy myself, really.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
And for the kids, they might call it Oldsmobile bubble. But anyhow, who doesn't like an Oldsmobile bubble? Anyhow,
I'm partial to the Mavericks.
the Ford Mavericks, yeah, me too. About the only Ford I really like. Nothing against Ford for you Ford guys out there. Nothing against Ford, but
I've had some good Toyotas, though. I will say that. I've had some good Toyotas.
by the way, the grandpa that just passed away, he was very dead set that if you showed up with an import, exactly. Uh, the grandpa that just passed away, he was always dead set that you always bought what he called a true American car, and it had to be from one of the big three: General Motors, Chrysler, or Ford. If AMC would have still been around, yeah, that would have been okay too. Except that they're having problems with their transmissions these days.
Well, it wasn't my fault. My Toyota, the flex plate broke, and then my Park Avenue.
Depends on which Toyota you're talking about, you
I
know.
had a Toyota Camry.
Those are good. Those are good. You know, but yeah, Grandpa was one of those ones, unless you bought it from one of the big three, don't bring it to his place. He would get very upset about that. Because those were the major American manufacturers. Now, for the record, really? Huh.
Hey, you want to send us the new car?
Honda gal, okay. Yeah,
Honda's not bad. Aunt Amanda has one.
I'm partial to I'm actually a GM guy more than anything, but if you were to ask which GM in that order, Nissan, okay. I'm when it comes to car companies, I'm a GM guy, but I lean towards Oldsmobile, then Chevrolet, then Pontiac. Well, I've got it. Okay, it's one of those things that there's actually a meme that goes around in the car community that if you like a okay if you like a if you're into uh no RA okay, I myself my personal favorite cars uh pretty much any Olds Cutlass until they changed over to front wheel drive, but I'm an Olds Cutlass guy. Nothing against the front wheel drive Olds Cutlasses, but you know, I like all the Olds Cutlasses, all the Oldsmobile Deltas, love them. And even before they started calling them the Deltas, I was a big fan of the Dynamics as well. The Olds Dynamics. And if you're ever wondering, it doesn't seem to be doing it on my end at the moment, but you know, it is what it is. 3 times now. Well, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, for Pontiac, I know most everyone would say, you know, GTO or the Firebird or the Trans Am. I'm actually more of a Pontiac Le Mans. Now it buffers on my end. Yeah, we're back. Yeah, now finally buffered on my end. I swear to God, I'm going to have a conversation with AT&T that's just going to make them just love me so much.
Uh-huh.
But anyhow.
I've only done that 3 times now.
But yeah, my grandparents, uh, they were. Yeah, yeah, I know. I've actually told them one time. I said, "Can we go back to the days when you guys were Southwestern Belt? You did things so much better." And they're like,
Ouch.
they're like, "Ouch, dang, man! You had number one, damn, you're old enough to remember that for one, and two, ouch."
I remember that.
I didn't know what to say whenever I said that. But yeah, the so now like I said, my grandparents are okay. Okay. If you were to twist my arm, my favorite cars of all time. If I ever get a be mentioning sports cars and stuff like that, myself personally, I am a Corvette fan, but I like the from 1968 to well, pretty much any Corvette prior to 1984 are my personal favorites. Any Corvette before 1984. Huge fan of Corvette. Um, America's first sports car. There, red Corvette. What year? Oh, the 1967 Chevy GT 500. Yep. Uh huh. Yep. I remember that song. I remember when it was new. God, I'm old.
You are not. Your own family says you're not, so shush.
Yep. Yeah, most of them today just don't have the panache that they used to. Uh, when I was talking about earlier, my grandmother who raised my dad. The grandmother that raised my dad, who passed away at the age of 97. Uh, she was driving a '66 Pontiac Tempest, while my dad was driving a '66 Mustang GT Coupe. 289, four on the floor, 4-barrel carburetor, and yeah, grandma rolls down the window, hollers out at my dad, "Race you home!" Dad's like, "You're on." Light turns green, tires smoke, and they take off. Then they get by the police station, and grandma's like, "No," and she backs off. Dad keeps going. She gets home. Dad's sitting there on the hood of the car. "What took you so long?"
I can see you doing that with your grandkids. Or even your kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the one you talk. Yeah, that was my grandma who was 97. She actually was telling me that she would come home after going out grocery shopping and find that dad was skipping school. He'd be in the dang kitchen with all of his buddies skipping school. "So why aren't you at school?" "We didn't. We decided not to go." "Okay." Just shook her head. You can see.
Yeah, exactly. I can see him doing that with Flame. By the way, Flame says hi.
Yep.
To everybody.
Yep.
I can easily see you doing that with the Maverick, with Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
You drive in Spirit, and Ding Dong driving whatever he's gonna drive.
Yep, Mustang GT. Yeah, I knew what you meant. GT40. But yep. Hey, what are you guys talking about? I'm old enough to be a grandpa now. Myself.
And yet,
I'm old enough to be a grandpa now. I've got a 21-year-old daughter.
Bestie, don't you dare say anything.
Yep. I'm old enough to be a grandpa. Which actually means that if I'm old enough to be a grandpa, I'm going to be the cool grandpa. Go out to Project Spirit and say, come on, kids, get in the car. We're going for ice cream. See if I get pulled over.
You do that too.
Mm-hmm. Which the police all know me in this town, so they'd be like, really, dude? Be like, really, dude? I'm not saying a word, bestie.
She better not. What'd she say?
Cinnamon isn't ready for grandma duties.
No, Cinnamon is not. Shoot fire, neither am I.
Just remember, the moment one of my kids becomes a parent, I become a grandparent.
And so do I. Believe me, I'm already well aware of that.
Yeah. Just pointing that out.
Thanks. Like I needed the reminder.
Well, when I turn, I've already decided that when I turn,
Aw, thanks.
ah, an auntie.
I'm actually going to be an auntie. You're going to be an uncle. Again.
Again.
But this time it's on my family. My side of the family.
Yep. Dang family members can't keep their populators in their pants, but anyhow.
Like you have any room to talk.
Five biological kids that I know of.
Exactly.
They took advantage of me.
Uh-huh. Something tells me you didn't say no.
No, but I this is what I did. Don't. Stop. Don't. Stop. Exactly. Oh, man, that sucked.
Hey, I'm the black sheep in my family. I'll be lucky if I get to see the new one. It was almost a year before, actually it was about 7 months before I got to hold my baby cousin, who's only 7 months old.
Yeah, they're a bunch of jackasses anyways. Anyhow.
Yes, I know. And I probably shouldn't have said that because I know they're this.
I helped Cinnamon with her material, and then from there,
Don't you start. Don't you start.
You know, from there it turns into where she takes and runs with it. That's kind of how that works. Now, really quick, yeah, she does, but that's just kind of how family is sometimes.
Who do what now?
You understand his pain, being the black sheep.
Oh yeah.
I was for a while.
Oh yeah, I understand.
Now I'm
well.
now I'm one of the favorite sons.
I know.
But yep.
I understand that very well.
Okay, $5 in a candy bar. Okay. Glad you brought that up.
Oh dear God.
Okay. The grandpa that just passed and my grandma, basically my mom's mom and dad, okay? Oh.
What's the matter?
He's been treated that way since he was a teenager. Okay.
I've been treated that way for 10 years.
We're going to turn back the clock a little bit, back to whenever I was first getting sober. I used to have this joke. I would say to gals, $5 in a candy bar, I'll do whatever you want. Wow. You're going to love it.
Ooh, I probably shouldn't have bought what I bought today then. I didn't think about that.
So, I used to go around telling gals, $5 in a candy bar, I'll do whatever you want. That used to be the joke. Okay? $5 in a candy bar, I'll do whatever you want. And you knew what I was basically offering at that point. Well, Well, fast forward, I get into sobriety and I'm still telling this joke. And I was dating this gal. It didn't work out. Just one of them things,
Obviously.
obviously. It didn't work out. But after things kind of settled down um, and that sort of thing, uh, the gal and I split up and everything. And she calls me up one day and says, what are you doing right now? I said, I'm sitting here at home chilling out. Do you mind if I come over? I said, oh, you can come on over. And she comes over. I open up the door. Well, before she gets off the phone with me, she says, what kind of candy bars do you like? Just out of curiosity. I said, well, I'm actually a Reese's kind of guy.
I think you can see where this is going.
Yeah. She comes over to the apartment. I open up the door. She comes in and she throws a $5 bill on the couch with a pack of king size Reese's and says, guess what you got to do? That's the weirdest time I've ever wore a Santa Claus hat. But anyhow. All right. That's not the best part of the damn story.
Oh, no. It gets even better.
Y'all know who I was married to for the longest time. Well, we're sitting there at the kitchen table with my two grandparents, the one that just passed away, and that grandma, and I'm not kidding. And what happens is, somehow we get on subject, and Miranda brings that story up, and proceeds to tell everyone who was at that table, including my grandparents, about this story, about how this gal came over and basically paid, $5 in a candy bar for me to want. And my grandparents busted up laughing. My grandma and grandpa nearly fall out of their chair. I'm like, I had to own it. By the way, one of my aunts was there and she's like, oh my God, how could you have? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, how many kids you got? Do you need me to draw you a fucking diagram? My grandparents are just dead. Well, then my grandmother says, my grandpa was a real quiet guy, but he's laughing. He can't hardly, he's nearly on the floor laughing. And this is the grandpa that just passed away. And his wife, if you will, my grandmother. And you guys are dead right now. And my grandmother says, wait a minute. You were dating this gal for a little while. Yes, Grandma, I was dating this gal for a while. And she says, and after you guys split up, she still came back and paid for it? And I'm like, yes, Grandma. And she's like, you must have been doing something right. And I'm like, Grandma, no. And my grandpa loses it and nearly falls on the floor again from laughing. They can. Yeah, they're both just dying with laughter. Yeah, so it was like that. Yeah, everybody was laughing uncontrollably at the situation. My aunt's over there like, how could you? I'm like, do you need me to draw you a diagram there? How many kids you got? Yeah, so the $5 in a candy bar came back and bit me. That was probably, my grandparents laughed about that. Now, the same grandma, when my mom got remarried, when she got remarried, the same grandma, she's like, I got these two brand new knees, and hey, I get it. She's like, absolutely, Mary. Yeah, yeah. So $5 in a candy bar came back to haunt me twice. Oh yeah, absolutely, Mary. But yeah, it was hilarious. Okay, that same grandmother that passed away a few years back, just before the pandemic kicked off. Uh, that grandmother, she when my mom got remarried, that grandmother, she'd had both of her knees replaced. She was talking about it before my mom got remarried. And she's like, but your grandpa, I want to dance at the wedding, but your grandpa doesn't dance. I said, well, Grandma, I'm not the greatest dancer in the world. I said, but if you want, I'll dance with you at the wedding. She's like, you would dance with your old grandma? I said, well, if you don't mind dancing with your oldest grandson. She's like, I don't mind. And so when the wedding reception was on, after the wedding, we're at the reception hall and everything. Well, that grandma, we were sitting there, and then a slow song kicks up, and I run over. I said, Grandma, there's a slow song playing. You want to go dance? And she's like, there is, because I'd already promised. And and I said, yes, Grandma. And she's like, well, you don't have to. I said, I promised you. I want to. And then my aunt started egging on Grandma. Come on, Mama, get out there, dance a little bit. It'd be fun. Go out there and dance with Dennis. She's like, she looks at my grandpa, and my grandpa just smiles, says, go out there and have a good time. Have a good time. Go dance with our grandson. And I take my grandmother out to the dance floor, and we had a nice dance together. Unfortunately, the one thing that did happen that wasn't so much fun is all of pretty much everybody and their brother came running up with their camera. So all the camera flashes, I took my grandmother back to her seat, practically blind from all the camera flashes. And, you know, then I danced with my grandmother a little bit later, and she was so tickled. And she talked about that all the way up until she passed away. Well, after the wedding and everything kind of settled down from all the excitement and everything, the grandpa that just passed a week ago, we're sitting there just kind of talking, and he says, he said, it was good to see your mom get remarried. He said, but he said, the big moment for me, he said, as a family man, I always tried to do right. I always tried to do right for my family. Always, and he said, I didn't always succeed, but I always tried to do right. He said, but of all the things, he said, even though I always tried to do right and sometimes I didn't always do my best, he said, I watched my oldest grandson take my wife out onto the dance floor and slow dance with her to make her happy. He said, I'm proud of my family. He said, but if there was ever a moment that I know I did all right, he said, it was that moment. And he says, thank you for doing that for your grandmother. He said, I was a very proud man to watch my grandson take my bride and slow dance with her because because she wanted to. He said, you didn't have to. He said, but you did. And that was, he said, it made me he said, I was the proudest grandpa in the entire world. Proudest grandpa in the entire world. As a matter of fact, when Miranda ran, that grandpa was probably just as upset as I was. It hit him. It hit him just as hard. It broke his heart. I mean, he actually cried. He cried. It broke him. I was close with all of my grandparents. You know, so for me, I mean, I've got all these wonderful memories of the grandparents, and we got to share all those memories. When my mom and dad split up, we lived with my grandparents for a little while until mom got on her feet and everything. She had a boyfriend at that time, by that time, but imagine a whole house full because bad relationships, divorce, that's one of those things, a lot of my aunts were going through divorce at the time. So there was a bunch of us grandkids in the house. And my cousin brought this up. imagine for a brief moment all of us like probably in the ballpark of 6 grandkids plus my uncle getting us all ready to get to school.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, and and he brought that up, huh?
Who was it that said that? Rosie?
No, it was my cousin Anthony.
Oh, yeah,
Anthony was talking about,
right.
and he said, "My God, it was mayhem every morning, every morning."
There was what, 14 of you
No, that there was like
total? I mean,
7 total kids to get ready that morning.
I know, but I meant total out of everybody.
15 grandkids total. What my grandpa got to see, 15 grandkids.
That's a lot of grandkids.
Oh, really? You only met your dad? Wow. I knew what you meant. I'm doing all right. Doing all right, Grave Taker. I mean,
Hey, hi, Grave Taker.
he snuck in here earlier, but he's been in and
I
out.
didn't get a chance to say hi. Hola.
So, all right, real quick. Real quick, so y'all know, Country Girl is going to be taking the Try Not to Laugh challenge with Cinnamon at some point.
And I'm going to fail miserably. I already know. She's willing to. You
win.
just have to set it up.
Yep. Really?
A little bit.
Huh.
A little bitter.
Probably because of the fact that you work close to him, that's why. Yep. But yeah, so she's taking the Try Not to Laugh challenge with Cinnamon.
I'm going to fail miserably.
May the gods save her now.
Yeah, right.
That's going to be funny.
I have perfected the art of not laughing out loud, though.
Yeah, but your computer's about 6 inches away.
I'm aware of that.
Yep. Cinnamon now also is on Star Trek Online.
Ooh, does that mean that when you and I run, she and I will run too?
Zelda is chittering at some birds.
That's because we have a nest right above our heads.
Yep. She's chittering. Right now, Zelda's trying to do some bird hunting.
Yep. Hi, Mary.
But yeah. And along with that, we'll be doing a Star Trek Online live stream. Real quick, with all of you that are in here, do we want to see Cinnamon in the live stream at some point?
I don't mind. I like running with both Cinnamon and you. So. Ooh. I just had a thought. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wonder. Hey, I just had a thought.
Yep.
What if when we run, we get 0 in on it?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I think that'll be the plan.
You want to tell him?
Country Girl is also on Star Trek Online.
I sure am.
Now, really quick, there's something that's also kind of come up in the community, which we'll talk more in detail. Before we got together, I was looking at getting with someone, but then they turned out to not be so okay. And I think some of you know who I'm talking about. They're taking pot shots at even at the passing of my grandparent. They're taking pot shots. And I've just about had all I'm going to handle.
They were originally taking pot shots at just me.
Yeah, but then they took a pot shot at me, and it had all to do kind of with the passing of my grandparent. And I'm like, all right, enough's enough, you know.
I will say this, though. There's going to be much hell raised if...
Yeah, I know.
We're aware. We saw it.
But yeah, that's not okay.
Oh. Bestie? Oh. All right.
I'll fill you in later, Zero. But...
Bestie, give me a few minutes. My phone's currently charging.
But yeah.
Very, very slowly. Well, I have your live stream playing on my phone.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I'll fill you in on the details later. But yep, that's kind of what's going on. Just been dealing with that.
Honey, she ain't gonna end up in traction. She's gonna end up in the ground.
Actually, she'll probably end up in a I Love Mean jacket
That too.
and
Which
in
is
a
much
padded
worse than
room.
being in the ground.
I still got connections to the medical field.
I will say this though. She starts taking pot shots at Flame
Yeah.
and all hell will rain loose. You don't mess with this mama's boy. I'm here to tell you.
Speaking of which, Flame got me this cup.
He saw that. We happened to be looking at different cups. He saw that and he's like, you would love that. He's like, he would love that. You know he would love that.
But yeah, real quick, for all of you still left in the live stream, do y'all want to see Cinnamon this Friday in a Star Trek Online live stream?
You're going to have to get in line, bestie. The line starts behind us. Now, somebody answer his question. He's asked it twice now.
Does anybody want to see Cinnamon in the live stream this
3 times.
Yep.
I personally
And the Star
don't
Trek.
mind.
Yeah. So I know Zero is like,
Yes. I'm sorry. Say again. Zero, really? He said it 3 times now.
He's having a moment. Yes.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay, that's 2. Hey, it's A&R. A&R will be doing a Star Trek Online live stream. You'll get to see the updates to the USS Maverick. Oh,
And
God.
me too.
Yeah. Friday, she'll be in the live stream, Star Trek Online. She has her own character. May the gods save us now. She'll be breaking out all of her vicious little ships. And if you kept up with the Zelda, you are not getting those birds.
Zelda.
More boom boom hell yeah. I love it. She'll be breaking out her flagship, an Intrepid class called the USS Luscious Girl.
And I'll get to unveil my ship.
Mm-hmm. What time Friday? We're probably going to see...
Anytime's fine with me. I'm
Yeah.
off.
What time Flame go with the grandparents?
Flame will go with the grandparents after school.
After school? Right after school?
Yeah, I'll probably see if I can't have them come pick them up here. That way we don't have to go to town.
Okay, then we'll go live shortly after that. So probably right around 4:30.
4:30 is perfect.
4:30 Central Standard U.S. time.
Or in layman's terms, 4:30 Missouri time.
Zero, I think, is on our...
He's an hour ahead of us.
No, behind. He would be behind. It'd either be Mountain.
Zero, what time is it for you? Right now. Are you having fun?
Yeah.
10:30 p.m. her time. Yes, we know you, bestie. Zero, what time is it?
Yep. He's an hour behind us.
Yeah. Okay, so it'll be 3:30 your time, Zero.
Yep. She might even break out her other ship called the Amazon Girl.
And bestie, it would be 9:30 your time.
Perfect name fits. Hey, what's going on, Josh? Welcome to the live stream. Yeah, Cinnamon will be breaking out her ship.
Oh, excuse me.
The Luscious Girl. USS Maverick has had some updates.
Should I tell them the name of mine?
No. So yeah, there'll be that, and then of course, no, Zero's an hour behind us, so you're 7 hours ahead of him. If you will, you're in the future. Ooh, ooh. Actually, A&R, Cinnamon has a ship called the Naughty Girl. Yeah, there's been some updates.
Yes.
Outside, yeah, he's all the way in Australia. Yep. So
Oh,
just
he's
kind of,
upside down time. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Cinnamon will be. We'll let her run a run a little bit. Yeah, she'll be breaking out the USS Luscious Girl. Nearly Tuesday there. Yep. In the future.
Zelda, you are not going to get those birds. I swear, if you jump off, I am not going to catch you this time.
Come here, kitten little.
And yes, I've had to catch her before. Pain in the tail. She's got the look of, human, put me down or I will hurt you.
You bird hunting? You hunting birds? She's like,
put me down. Oh, wait,
kitty.
Listen. You hear the little peeps?
Mm.
She's got babies in there.
Just a tiny little fluff ball. Yep. She used to be a little bitty little fluff ball. Could fit in the palm of my hand.
I'm tired.
Yep. You can go lie down. I'm getting ready to wind it down.
I have to close tomorrow.
I work tomorrow only about 4 hours.
I work until midnight.
Actually, I've had to rescue her from the awning over there. She jumped off the balcony onto an awning.
I've had to catch her from jumping off the balcony to the pavement below. 3 or 4 different times.
Which we've considered letting her have a litter of kittens. So, Zelda kittens.
Zelda kittens.
Wait for it. Crash. Yeah. Think of that for a moment. Zelda kittens.
Zelda kittens.
There you go.
That's perfect. I don't know if they heard us about the Zelda kittens.
Thinking about letting her have Zelda have a litter of kittens. Zelda kittens.
Yes, Anna, that was Zelda.
That was our little Zelda. You remember when she was just a little ball of fur?
She's a little puffball.
She was my little ball of floof.
Floofs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Zelda. That's our little Zelda there.
Floof balls. Little floofs.
Yeah, no joke. But yeah, we're talking about this Friday going live, and then I'll have more romance videos and everything for all of you, including our first car shows of the season. What the hell are you gonna? You are not catching those birds.
She's like, I'm gonna try anyway. She's like, damn it, I think you're right.
You are a mischievous little cat.
She's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, Zelda baby somewhere. I know some people, they'd be like knocking on the door.
Before they're even... Bestie, he's already working on 2 new POVs.
I've got 2 lined up, ready to go. All I gotta do is film them.
Yeah. He has to wait until I'm at work, though. Which is no lie.
Yeah.
Yes, bestie, you are.
The last one I did is about 8 minutes long, and it's showing how to make homemade vanilla iced coffee.
Yep.
Tell me, do you know how to melt?
I currently hate you at the moment. And the fact that he can do that on command. Have you uploaded that one yet?
No, I haven't loaded that one yet.
Bestie, he hasn't loaded it yet.
No, no, no. Oh, A&R, there's an entire playlist of Star Trek Online stuff that has cinnamon in it too. Heads up.
If you're about to do what I think you're about to do, don't do it.
Do what?
You know exactly what I'm talking
I don't know
about.
what you're talking about.
Yes, you do. You know what I'm talking about.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Oh, come on. You look like you were about to go into the radio voice again or sing. Or both.
A&R, what they're talking about is I'm doing these romance videos that as you're watching the video, it's like I'm doing it for the viewer.
Aw, thank you, Zero.
Thanks, Zero. Basically they're done in a POV style or point of view style. So whoever's watching it's like I'm doing it for them. And from what I understand, some women, yeah. There you go. It's now Tuesday in England. There you go. But yeah, the way that actually works is, yeah, evidently those, yeah, we do. Yeah, evidently it hits a few hot buttons.
A few? A few?
Yeah, just a couple.
Honey, you keyboard smash every woman's hot buttons. Multiple times.
That's what they're telling me.
Repeatedly.
Evidently, these videos work so well that a coworker of Country Girls, yeah, you got to get some rest. We're getting ready to call it on the live stream.
Bye, bestie.
But the way it actually works for, hang on here.
You were saying about one of my coworkers?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, one of her coworkers, he has his woman over at his place, has her watch the video, and then afterwards he comes back to work after a couple days off, and he says two things. One, I'm really tired, and tell your other half, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, men everywhere love and hate you both at the exact same time. They hate you because you've made the POVs. And they love you because you've made the POVs.
Yep, that happened. So evidently someone got used up like a plastic sex toy. Turned every which way but loose.
Yeah, pretty much. In fact, I think that was actually his exact words, too.
Yep, that happened.
But no, A&R, the Star Trek playlist he's talking about is already on his channel.
Yeah, it's already up.
It's under the playlist section.
There's like 9 videos there.
No. From what I understand, no, she didn't.
Huh. But yep. So, all right, folks. I've got some work to do between now and Friday so you guys can have a good live stream. So thank you all for sitting with me while we share some old stories about my grandparents. We might have to do this again sometime. Yeah, you got to hear the $5 in a candy bar story, how it went sideways for me twice.
Which is why you never say that again.
No. Some people will never be the same after that story. But yes, we'll bring. Yep. Yep, that's Star Trek stream. But, all right, so as we begin to let out, get on over to Teespring, check out the merch, get over to Patreon, $1 US a month. All proceeds go back into the cars. Pretty much it. But from there, as a reminder to all of you as we let out for the stream, get out there and work on a project. Don't care what it is, just do something with yourselves. Remember, idle hands and a creative mind go together like oil and water. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet. Do something special for them today. And as always, for every last one of you out there, if no one out there has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24. Thank you.